Bitcoin, Litecoin, OneCoin, and Ethercoin are leading the new currency evolution, and businesses like yours are reaping the rewards. Businesses worldwide are beginning to accept Bitcoin to eliminate the hassles and transaction fees of banking and payroll services. Bank fees, holds on your money, and hassles with payroll companies can be a thing of the past. With the new currency, you are the bank. Join us today with Amazon best-selling author Tom McMurrain and learn how you can use the latest in digital currency to eliminate all the fees and how you can reward your employees in currency that actually appreciates in value. Open your business to the new currency community and the future of payments. And now we invite you to join Amazon best-selling author Tom McMurrain along with your host Rich Casanova and get connected with the future of payments.
All right, folks, this is our very first ever edition of the New Currency Show, and Tom is joining us in the studio. Tom is a disruptionista.
Sir.
All right.
Got the domain. I'm certified.
He is the man coining the terms, yeah. And speaking of terms, we're going to jump right into this. So Tom speaks to audiences around the world, is known for his ability to help people clearly understand what digital currency is and how people can make it part of their lifestyle. As it relates to digital currency, you also coined the term the seventh disruption.
Yes, sir.
And we're definitely going to be delving into that topic, right?
Absolutely.
And you have all the other six locked and loaded, ready to...
You know, when you write the book on the seventh disruption, you have to research the first six, that's for sure.
I hope so. Sometimes I'm a little awkward when I ask that question of someone because they mention, here's the 10 points. And you ask them and they're like, roll their eyes like, give me one of those Scooby-Doo moments.
Right.
Yeah.
I got my notes here. I'm good.
Perfect. Yeah. So, and you've, which creates an unequivocal argument for Bitcoin, disrupting the trillion-dollar behemoth known as the banking and finance industry.
Yeah, boo.
Right. Yeah.
Got boo then.
I
got a boo sound in here?
We'll dial that up in a moment, but I'm feeling so excited about this. I think you're going to bring some of these bankers on board, right?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll see the light.
Yeah. So you live, breathe a coin lifestyle, which is a very cool concept we're going to delve into as well.
Yeah.
And your mission, which is great. I mean, we have a lot of folks in here on the Pro Business channel talking about business, B2B, and great conversations, but it's always even, one ups it when you have that inspiring mission behind your project, right? And your mission is to help millions of people adopt the future of internet currency.
Yeah, it was a lot like the internet. When the internet came out in 91, we were teaching people about websites. We were teaching people about email. Digital currency is no different. It's a very similar setup.
And another phrase that really caught my eye the very first time you said it, I heard you mention a number of other times, this concept, if you're ready to be your own bank, well, tune in. You're tuning into the right show, and let's listen in to Tom, and let's jump right into it. So tell us a little bit about your background for myself and your listeners.
I've always kind of been on the cutting edge of disruption technology. Got my start, really in the online publishing space, publishing a blog for people that want to live, work, travel, retire, and invest. It was kind of like before the 90s. Everybody made their money, and they were looking overseas to buy properties in, Belize and things like that. So we're writing blogs on that with a website called Escape Artist, which was a lot of fun. It was a labor of love. Definitely, been in the micro lending industry, but I've sold a lot of products online, and it boils down to just really creating content that people want to read, something that's at the top of their mind. And right now, digital currency, people may not know it, but with what's going on in the world of currency, people are going to have digital currency at the top of their mind coming on very soon. But I've always looked for things that were on the cutting edge. They were new, exciting. I love going and asking people, hey, Rich, have you ever done a digital currency transaction?
Well, if you're asking me personally, yes, because you helped me do it right here in the studio.
but most people, 99 say no.
I'd say 99 plus.
Yeah. So,
and speaking of that, the topic of digital currency, I think in a previous interview you mentioned maybe upwards of 80% of folks are not familiar with it. I think even maybe more. But it is interesting. I was talking to folks in the reception area earlier before the show about this idea, and people are kind of aware of it. But when you bring in the idea of Napster and these other disruptive, they kind of get the idea of what stage we're at right now, right?
Yeah.
So what kind of got your interest in digital currency?
Well, I'm a bit of an anarchist. I'm one of the 76% or 74% that don't like banks. Okay,
right, yeah.
I've had my share of run-in with banks, and I think anybody who's in the real estate business or anybody who's been in business gets a little tired of seeing those banking fees at the end of the statement every month. And ultimately, when you look at digital currency, it has a solution for that. And I like being my own bank. And I don't know if you know what 9/10 of the law is.
Possession?
Law of possession.
Yeah.
Okay. So you think about what people in Greece, they went to the ATM machine one day and they learned what that 1/10 meant, because they went to the ATM machine and it said you can only pull out $600 per week. And it wouldn't matter if you were a multimillionaire.
Right.
But I'm on this big push of own your world. And to me, digital currency allows me to be my own bank. It allows me, my banking hours are when I'm awake with my phone and I want to send money. And I don't have to pay fees. So I could go on for an hour like that.
Well, there are a lot of illustrations of this phenomenon we're living in right this new generation of folks wanting to kind of control their destiny, from entrepreneurs to media, right, that they can self-publish. And now one of the next steps in that evolution is controlling your financial destiny.
Yeah, it really is. I think people are learning that, turning your money over to somebody else is kind of a mistake, especially when you look at the fees at the end of the month. Your return may look good up front, but after you deduct all the fees, there's just not much left. And let's be honest, banking has had very little innovation since the ATM card came out. Right. They put a computer chip on there, but I have noticed my banking fees, my first ATM withdrawal was 25 cents is what it cost me.
Right.
Now it's $2.50, $3.50. And what's changed? Absolutely nothing.
And $2.50 might not be a big deal if you're doing a major transaction, a bank transaction, or even ATM if you're taking out $500. But we're going to talk about the unbanked.
Oh, yeah.
And taking out $20. I mean, do the math. He charges you $2.50.
It's usury. It's usurious. Yeah. It's bad.
And speaking of the banks, you're kind of this anarchist. I can kind of somewhat come on board when you talk about that, because up until now, the banks are controlling all of the cards and the coins.
Well, the anarchy also comes from the fact that I have kids, and we've got $19 trillion in debt. Mathematically, it can't be paid off. It's really a bad scenario. And we have $60 trillion in unfunded liabilities as well, which somebody has to pay that. And so I'm sitting here looking at a plan B. I think there's a reckoning that's going to come, kind of like did in Europe when they brought out the euro at 60 cents on the dollar. Everybody kind of got a haircut, but of course the euro came back up in value and then everybody was happy again. But I think we're going to look at a reckoning in the United States one day. It can't continue like it's continuing. The 84 million kids cannot physically pay for what has been created by the older generation.
And again, in terms of timing, I don't know if it can be much better with just all the financial uncertainty we experienced in 2008. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in some 100-year history, we lost our AAA credit rating, and what's going on with Greece and Europe. And there's a lot of uncertainty. So people, at the very least, a plan B, right?
Yeah. I believe we got our AAA rating back. I don't know how, but we definitely lost it. We just added more debt and we got it back.
Right, yeah.
But it's called too big to fail, man.
Yeah.
But I think, when you look at what's going on with Greece, Puerto Rico, Argentina went through obviously a major crisis. Japan's on negative interest rates. I love the acronym NERP. Hey, we're on NERP now. Right. But it's, I think there's going to be a lot more countries that, China's obviously facing some devaluation. And look at what's going on in Brazil. They lost 33% of their purchasing power last year on their currency. How would you like to wake up a year later and your dollar buy a third less?
Well, and it's does it come down to, at the very least, diversifying your portfolio, right? To kind of safeguard yourself from these catastrophic potential events. So I know we want to talk to about this, the 7 disruptors and your Amazon best-selling ebook. Right. But let's jump into the players now in this new currency economy. Or who are some of those folks?
You listen to the media in the U.S. and you kind of think digital currency or Bitcoin may be a scam, because they've done a real good job of really painting a bad picture of it. But you have to ask yourself, why is Mark Andreessen, the guy who founded the Netscape browser that you use, the technology you use every day to research the internet, he's the largest investor in digital currency. You've got people like Tim Draper, major tech investor. You got Michael Novogratz, who manages Fortress Investment Group. You've got Richard Branson. I mean, go to Richard Branson. He's got a blog on there that says how digital currency can save the world. The guy's a billionaire, and it's incredible. And of course, you've got Rusha Ignatova. She's a Bulgarian lady who's created OneCoin, which is the fastest growing company in the world. It did $1 billion in revenue faster than any company in the world. I think Groupon did it in 27 months, yet nobody hears about it in the United States.
Right.
If it was a U.S. tech company, it'd be all over the media.
One of those best kept secrets that people will say, like Uber, right?
Yeah.
People turn that down and then look where it's at now.
Well, I think the point is the media wants you to hear what they are wanting you to hear, and people aren't hearing about digital currency right now just because it's just not part of their.
Well, it's
not getting the buzz.
Yeah, it's the unknown, and I know in previous conversations you talked about the launch of the internet, and at that time there was a lot of misperceptions of what that was going to bring to the table, and then those early adopters.
My wife wouldn't talk to me for like 3 years when I got into the internet. It was like, you're like into like drug dealing and money laundering.
Right, exactly.
You must be a hacker. You know, my wife didn't get a Facebook page until like 2 years ago. So, the internet, people were really scared. When there's mass ignorance, there's fear, and when there's fear, there's misinformation.
Right.
And that's really what's going on with digital currency. But when I was out in Vegas, and I did a presentation to 60 people, and we did a transaction like I did with you and Craig, and it was really amazing. The whole room broke out into spontaneous applause because they realized they had found a solution to banking, that they could do business anywhere in the world on their own terms.
Yeah, so speaking of that transaction, kind of walk us through for our listeners how simple are the steps involved in completing a transaction?
Yeah, it's as simple. Like we use blockchain.info to really educate people because it's real simple. All you have to do is put in an email address and kind of a complicated password. It's not going to be your usual, last name 123. You can't do that. Yeah. But once you've set it up, no ID required or anything, we will send people $1 and have them donate it to United Way. So there's a mobile app that you can get called blockchainwallet.com or blockchain wallet. But if you do that, we'll actually send you the money to do your first transaction.
Wow. And speaking of United Way, they're the single largest Bitcoin
recipient of digital currency for charity. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are definitely some big
Go
brands.
to unitedway.org and go to donate in the upper right hand corner, and then you'll see it says donate with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And it just, when you do a transaction with somebody, their first commercial transaction outside of a government issued currency, it's really liberating. It's fun.
Yeah. And it really enlightens you, and you can kind of see the scope of where this could go for yourself and others. And speaking of others, let's talk about the unbanked. And part of your mission here, right?
Well, there's a billion people that have access to organized financial services. And, where financial services flourish is we have places like the U.S. and in the first world economies where you have less crime, you have better quality of life. Well, there's 6 billion people around the world that don't have access to financial services. And we strongly believe that the mission of digital currency, of the new currency, is really to lift the rest of the world up, to help them be able to transact business. And there was a great story on 60 Minutes.
I was just going to mention that. You shared that with me, and that was
M-Pesa.
Yeah.
Great story where they basically took a simple SMS text phone and allowed people to transact business. They turn over their government issued currency, which in Africa is pretty much, paper. It's worthless, but they turn that over and they're able to actually send money back and forth via mobile phones. And I heard the first story in 2011 when they were talking about using it in Sierra Leone. And that's kind of what really interested me, is really that somebody could actually create their own monetary system outside of a government issued currency is fascinating.
Yeah, because you get politics and money involved, and
and lobbyists and the banking lobby. Yeah. I was listening to a guy on 60 Minutes, and he said, the reason they really haven't had much competition in Africa is because there's really no banking lobby. The banks don't have any money to lobby.
Well, and speaking of those folks, it can be upwards of 50, 100 miles or so to get to the nearest bank. And I saw the video or the presentation on 60 Minutes, and it wasn't your typical 60 Minutes approach. It was very enlightening and informative, and they were talking in the terms of people adopting this that in micro amounts, right, where they could do these transactions. And
well, micro amounts are coming. I mean, when you talk about the Internet of Things, which is the next big thing that's coming, smart refrigerators are coming out at the end of this year. Your milk will have a tag on it, which will tell your refrigerator that it's half full and that it's time for Amazon to bring another one.
That's bizarre.
But guess how they're going to pay for it? They're not going to be using nickels, quarters, and dimes because it's unrealistic for a drone to carry your gallon of milk with some change.
Right.
Okay, but they're going to be using digital currency. And I was thinking also, did you see the commercial, the first commercial of the Super Bowl that PayPal did?
PayPal, yeah.
That was awesome. I mean, I had chills all over my body.
And what was one of their taglines? The new money, or
Yeah, it was new money, new money.
Yeah.
And it talked about the old money, and it showed the faces of all the, I mean, it was really a bold commercial. And for listeners who didn't see it, go to YouTube and just type in PayPal and type in Super Bowl commercial, and you'll see it. It's an awesome commercial.
Yeah, it's one of probably the most viewed of the commercials. So let's move forward here on talking about your Amazon best-selling book, The 7 Disruptions.
Yeah, I have a great mentor, Jay Sammet, who wrote Disrupt You. And when I was looking at disruptions, the big thing was, what is the definition of disruption? And Napster disrupted the music industry. Blockbuster got disrupted by Redbox and, of course, Netflix. Wikipedia disrupted Encyclopedia Britannica. These were true disruptions. I mean, they literally put that industry. Egypt was disrupted by WordPress and a Twitter account. They had a revolution there because of that technology. So a disruption is defined as when something that's vital to the existence of an industry, country, or industry is cut, or re-engineered or made obsolete. That is a disruption. A new skin cream is not disruptive. Okay, something like that. But when you come along and I can actually send money to you right now without the need of a bank, with no fees, that's disruptive. Because the banking industry, what's vital to their existence is that fee base. And, with digital currency, we don't have that. And you saw that. I sent money to you instantly. Right. And you could have been in Antarctica. As long as you had an internet connection, you would have received it.
Yeah, it's just fascinating. Yeah. So obviously we're on the Pro Business channel here, having a conversation with the new show, the New Currency Show. And so Tom, talk to us about from business owner perspective. What are some resources or services, and what would they look to utilize this new currency?
Well, business owners, you think about payroll services, they have a lot of employees that may be unbanked, so they have a way they can just tell them, download an app and I can pay you with digital currency. You have a lot of undocumented workers, things like that around the world, not just in the United States, but they can reduce their cost of services. That's the big thing. I mean, when your currency grows in value, a hamburger today that costs 30 units of value, a year from now may cost 3 units of value. Right. Well, we're trained in the opposite way of thinking. We're thinking our product's going up in price. That's not true. The product it's actually the currency that's going down in value. And so, when you look at the benefits to an employer, say a guy comes and cuts my lawn for $500 or whatever. I got a big lawn. Right. Okay, it's like 80 acres. I've seen it, yeah. So a guy cuts my lawn and he takes digital currency from me, and let's say it appreciates 5 times in value over the next year. Well, that's the same thing if he cut my lawn 5 times. He got paid 5 times. So actually, with the ability for your currency to increase in value, that's a benefit. So we call that, the appreciation. But when you have more money or more value to buy products and services, that's a benefit to owners. And then, of course, when you can be your own bank and eliminate the fees and the hassles and the red tape, that's another big benefit. And, I've been working with some insurance brokers that they're using digital currency as a way to introduce businesses to it, to kind of build a relationship and bring value to them. So there's a lot of value in it. The digital currency, the technology that's running digital currency is highly disruptive. And if you are in a business that charges a fee for a transaction, you are subject to disruption by the technology that runs digital currency.
And talk to me about this idea of concept of appreciating your money. That you gave an illustration earlier about you bought the Bitcoin at a certain price point, and then fast forward the value of that.
Yeah, we've had 3 really great success stories in the last year. Of course, Bitcoin from 2015, around February, went from $221 up to $500. So if you had to put in $10,000 or $20,000, the value of your currency would have doubled in value. Then, of course, you look at OneCoin that's gone like 12 times in value. They've gone from 43 cents last April up to $6.
Wow.
I mean, that's massive. Imagine your money growing by 20 times. And then an Ethercoin. Ethercoin is very popular. They just got selected by Microsoft to be the partner for their digital currency partner for all of Microsoft.net and all of their services. And Ethercoin's gone from $2 to $12.
Wow.
So, when you can, some people kind of look at these as like high tech stocks. Yeah. They're definitely high risk. And let me state that up front. But there's an opportunity for people to increase their value by owning digital currency that appreciates in value. Now, I know you want to say something, but let me think think about this. Here's a visual. Right now, in the last 20 years, we've lost 50% of our currency's value, last 30 years. So you've been running up a down escalator. Envision that. You've done that as a kid. It takes twice as much energy to get to retirement. Retirement's at the top of the escalator. Well, the second scenario is, how would you like to run up an up escalator and retirement's at the top of the escalator? Well, if you want to do that, you need to get involved in the new currency.
And so we got 10 minutes remaining here. So one thought that's kind of crossed my mind is, we were at this 300-acre resort just recently, hanging out with you, right? And you had some folks asking some of these questions about the new currency, and then in launching this show. Who's the largest benefactors from this? Is it the unbanked business owners, and is it and you've talked about a financial standpoint, you talk about your money appreciating, that gets the attention of most everybody. So, but you mentioned this should be, you mentioned the risk could be very transparent. Yeah. So this should be part of their mix of their portfolio. Yeah, a small part. It's not something, you have to get with your a problem with getting your financial advisor involved, they don't know anything about it. Right, yeah. So, you really have to be self-educated in the space, and that's what we're doing, is providing that education. But yeah, I think the big thing is just diversifying like you would anything. Like, I'm investing in a basket of like 6 different currencies right now. Some of them I'm buying outright. Some of them I'm mining. Mining is a term that kind of throws people off. We'll discuss that in another show. But if you want to get currency at a discount, stay tuned for that show. We'll show you how. And let our listeners know where was a good resources to reach out to you. We got a few more questions here coming up. What's some good point of contacts for you? Yeah, I wanted to mention, if you want to learn how to set up a coin wallet, go to setupcoinwallet.com. Okay. I have a video there that will show you how to do it. It gives you my contact information to send me your address so I can send you some free money. Nice. Okay? So if you want a free Tom's giving out money here. Yeah, setupcoinwallet.com. And then definitely coinlifestyle.com has some great articles as my book that you can request for free. Okay. And then if you want to read some articles, you can go to coinlifestyle.org, which is my blog. Okay. And that'll give you some articles to read. And we're publishing 5 new articles per week, and you can subscribe to my newsletter there. Yeah. Perfect. And speaking of content, so enlighten us a little bit. What's the format of the show, and what's your mission to accomplish here on this ongoing series? Well, we're going to we're going to have fun with it. Number one. Yeah. A lot of people, we need to joke about it to bring the tension down with people. They get around it, they get all uptight. But we're going to do the 5 top headlines for the week in digital currency. We're going to discuss those for 10, 15 minutes, and then we'll have a business online. We'll be working with companies like NetPay in Atlanta, BitPay. They've got tons of businesses around the world that are using it, but we're going to have businesses online that are using it, and we're going to talk about the solutions and how they're using it to save money and increase their bottom line, because that's ultimately what business wants. I mean, you think about Amazon. You go to Amazon and you can use an app called Purse and save 10 to 20%. Okay. Right. Why? Because they don't have chargebacks. They don't have credit card fraud. They don't have to pay bank fees. So there's some real advantages to learning how to use digital currency. I know when we sat in on the meeting last week or so, you talked about this idea of part of the unknown is folks, well, great, I'm going to get my wallet filled up with Bitcoins. What do I do next? Yeah. And give some illustrations how they can utilize that. There's 150,000 merchants worldwide? 300,000. Now it's 300,000. Yeah, 300,000. Okay, yeah, we jumped over last week. No, it's been 300,000. But you can shop, like you can go to gift.com, GYFT.com. Let's say you paid me $1,000 in Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. I can go to gift.com and I could buy, like I bought a tripod this morning at Best Buy. Right. I could have gone to gift.com and used that Bitcoin to buy a gift card and walked in there, and I might have gotten that gift card at 10 to 20% off too. That's amazing. Yeah. Okay, so the tripod instead of 100 would have cost me 90 or 80. Right. Yeah. Well, for a single parent, that's a big savings. That's money back in their pocket. So you can go to Whole Foods, you can go to Best Buy, 200 big box stores. Okay. You can buy a Tesla. You can buy a rocket ship, right? A cheapo air if you want to buy airplane tickets. I bought airplane tickets with Bitcoin. Probably to London because there's a conference coming up there. Yeah, we definitely are doing a big conference in London in June. Yeah. So we'll give you some updates on that upcoming episodes. Yeah. But speaking of this idea of another disruptor, I had this in my notes before we came on air. A phenomenal disruption is going from fossil fuel and our current method of transportation to not just electric cars, but Tesla.
Yeah.
I mean, Tesla's a shining example of that disruption.
Yeah, well, and Elon's a big supporter of digital currency as well. There's some amazing quotes from him about how digital currency will revolutionize the world.
It's really kind of the smart people, the intelligent people, are kind of on the forefront of this, the early adopters.
Follow the smart money.
Yeah.
That's all I can tell you. Do not follow your brother-in-law who's broke,
right.
Okay, or your relative, or your. I tell people I do not take financial advice from people who work 9 to 5.
Right.
There's my tidbit of the day.
I love this.
But you definitely have to be self-learned. We have three things we tell people. We say get educated, get experience, do a transaction. Folks, you can't get hurt here. Okay.
Yeah.
Unless you're putting big money into it, but you've got to gauge that. But in the beginning, you can't get hurt. All you can do is try it. It's like sending that first email. When you send it, you're like, wow, it went to your computer that fast.
Right.
Same thing with digital currency.
And like you said, that's probably one of the best operative things to leave on is that there is, when you mention it, sometimes there's this kind of fear of unknown, element that people kind of hesitate a little bit. But like you said, make it fun. Put $100 in there or $50 and just play around. Get some gift cards. Go to the store and you'll see. Yeah. Right.
Well, it's funny, and we call that becoming a digital currency or a new currency ninja, where you go out and you start doing these exercises. Yeah. But we say, get educated, get experienced. Get engaged, and if you want to, you can get wealthy in this, just like people did with the internet. But you're very right. I mean, people, when they do their first transaction, they're like, God, that was so easy. Yeah.
And it's hard to kind of go back and look at our smartphones. Well, after the adoption of that, would you go back and just use an old phone?
Yeah. I want to mention one other thing. Okay. People, what I've also noticed is people are so concerned about what other people think.
Yeah.
Like I saw a lady post online the other day. Somebody in her community is chastising her on social media because she's using digital currency and promoting cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
I'm like,
and it's funny that conversation is happening on a digital platform. Why?
Yeah, I know.
You're on the digital platform.
That was the same person that said, I'll never use social media, or I'll never put my credit card into Amazon. Yeah.
One kind of last thought on a selfish basis from Pro Business Channel. So, BitPay is right here in Atlanta.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right. And so, correct me if what the process is. Folks can set up as a merchant.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anywhere locally around the world, and start banking some of these coins from their internet currency in their account. Right?
Yeah, three great thing to end on. 3 ways to get digital currency in your account. That. Number 1, you can mine it. And that means
that's an upcoming episode.
That's an upcoming
conversation, as they say.
Okay, and that's what you really want to know. That's the golden nugget.
Stay tuned for that one.
Yeah. And then, of course, you can accept it as for products and services if you're a merchant, or you can go to like Coinbase.com or Kraken.com where you can actually just buy it. Those are like E-Trade accounts. They look like E-Trade accounts, and you can actually just go buy it straight from the exchange because it's traded much like a stock. I mean, it's got a bid and an ask, and whatever the value of the day is, that's the value.
And it's almost like if you come back from Brazil and you can convert those back into U.S. dollars, right? So you take your U.S. currency and convert them into
a click of a button. Yeah. People think it's like Hotel California. Once you're in it, you can't get out of it. Right. No, it's highly liquid. I mean, Bitcoin has like $280 million a day in transactions and turnovers.
So and every 10 minutes, right?
Yeah, it's huge.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. So, so leave us on this note. What's the subject and who's who for next week's episode?
We have a great thing. We're doing an event in Atlanta with insurance agents. A lot of insurance agents they're our best vehicle to go out and introduce this to business owners. And so next week we're doing a luncheon right after the show next week. But next week's show is about how financial services agents can use digital currency to open more doors to high net worth individuals, to businesses, to increase their business. And I'm real excited because we've already got some amazing insurance people on board in Atlanta. And in April, we're going to do an event that's a VIP event for financial services people. That'll be limited to about 60 participants. Yeah. We'll be doing it at the Capitol Grill up in Dunwoody. I'm excited about that event.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, Tom, it was a pleasure having you on this initial launch show for the New Currency Show. And stay tuned next week.
Thank you for joining Amazon best-selling author Tom McMurrain and your host Rich Casanova, along with their guests on this episode of The New Currency Show. Stay tuned for upcoming episodes as they delve into the future of payments, and be sure to check out www.coinlifestyle.org for show updates and, as a listener of the show, a free ebook and more. So head over to www.coinlifestyle.org and join us next time on The New Currency Show.